Welcome to this episode of our program Daily Debate. As usual, we will be discussing a contentious debate. Today we'll be discussing a three-day conference, economic conference that took place, organized by Akhbar Al-Yom, in which a number of ministers, businessmen, and people from the economic society participated to discuss the development in the economic life of Egypt, particularly after the recent economic measures that were taken by the government. This is the third economic conference. It was, as I said before, arranged by Akhbar Al-Yom newspaper and under the auspices of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. During the opening of the three-day conference, which was held under the title Egypt, a Vision Towards Future Breakthroughs and Challenges, Prime Minister Sharif Ismail said that Egypt's economic reform program is not merely aimed at propping up the state's budget, but is meant to improve people's living standards and make the Egyptian economy stronger. Of course, he gave a briefing to the government program or reform program that was submitted partially to the IMF, but is already laid down in order to fulfill the aspiration of people, in order to take the economic situation to a better track, or put it on track, as said. Of course, that conference comes as the IMF approved a loan, the first tranche of which will be $2.75 billion, which will be given to Egypt, and comes after the Standard & Poor's changed, or it rather made another rating to Egypt from the negative territory to the positive one. Before we proceed with the importance of this venue or this conference as a platform for discussion between an interaction, of course, between businessmen and the government, let's first have a quick look on the headline of the day, or rather two headlines of the day. And on positive note, Egypt's Air announces start of Madrid-Luxor trips. Chairman of Egypt Air, Safwat Musallam, announced that weekly trips between Madrid and the southern city of Luxor are set to begin through Cairo International Airport during the current winter season. The minister said that this comes within the framework of restoring the tourism industry in Egypt, as it is one of the most important sources of national income. The first Madrid-Luxor trip flies from Madrid on the 5th of December, and earlier this month the first German flight arrived at to Sharm el-Sheikh airport, putting an end to the European country's one-year travel ban to the Red Sea resort city. In recent weeks, a number of foreign airlines have resumed flights to Sharm el-Sheikh airport, including the Turkish airline and Polish airlines. And Moscow and Cairo are currently negotiating the resumption of Russian flights to Egypt. And another important development, and also a positive news: the aircraft lands Giza pyramids as part of Vintage Air Rally in the same context, which is boosting tourism, hopefully. A 1930th biplane landed at the pyramids on Sunday. The first such landing indicates as part of a vintage airplane rally organized by a former British Army pilot. Let's watch the report.
A vintage 1930 plane landed at the pyramids of Giza for the first time in 80 years as part of an international vintage air rally that Egypt is taking part in. The plane left the Mediterranean city of Mars Matruh and flew to the 6th of October city near the pyramids in 150 minutes at a speed of 70 knots, then landed at the FAM site. A show over the Nile River by planes participating in the rally will take place on Tuesday before they cross 6 other cities, including the Red Sea resort of Hurghada and the ancient cities of Luxor and Aswan. On Saturday, vintage biplanes took off from Sitya in Greece in an over 8,000-mile journey across Africa, with a finish line in Cape Town on 17th December. The World Air Sports Federation, who are responsible for arranging the race, said that 20 teams from 17 nations will race across 10 countries over 35 days as part of the Creta to Cape edition of the Vintage Air Rally. Each pilot will fly a single-engine biplane produced before 1939. The flying race is recreating African aviation of the 1920s. Egypt's Civil Aviation Ministry said in a statement earlier this week that the event will promote tourism in Egypt and send a message that the country is a safe destination.
Right, welcome back, and to highlight this positive note of the return of tourism, hopefully. I guess we have over the phone Mr. Walid Batouti, member of the International Federation for Tour Guides. Good evening to you.
Good evening.
Yes, and I've just seen your live video that was put on the social networks, so that was a beautiful one. Tell me, how do you view the return of some of the tourists, air flights to Egypt and tourism?
Well, this is a result of a group of efforts. I mean, everybody is working. We can start with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Our embassies abroad are doing a great job. We must say that the security system over the years, they have improved themselves very well, but we still need more. We cannot deny we still have some obstacles from some people who, they don't care if the thing happens. But as you said, you just saw my video, my live video. This is also an effort that I was trying to do. Yesterday, I had with me 68. This is probably the first African-American group back into Egypt since 2010. We expect next year to have bigger number than this. And we're working on all markets in everything.
Yes.
I believe there is on the 20th of November, there is an Egypt Air flight coming from Japan, first flight from Japan direct. Back we're returning this route as well. As you said and you mentioned earlier, Spain is a great market. We need that. But we cannot forget the Italian market. And the ban, there was no need for the ban. There was no reason for the ban. This was a political ban on Egypt. This was a complete economical boycott to Egypt. It's not anything got to do with security, because as you see, everybody yesterday, if you've seen the video, everybody was saying, and please, if you can show this video, please go ahead.
Unfortunately, I don't have it here, but I've just seen it. Yes.
How the people were having fun, truly, and they're playing around and they're taking pictures and they're enjoying themselves, and everybody did a live video for themselves and for their families, and they said, we feel sorry for our friends and relatives and neighbors that said, it must be dangerous going there, and look at us, we're having a great time, the weather is great, the food is great, and this and that. And as you said, I have to thank the national carrier for doing their utmost and going out to start the first communication, which is Madrid, Luxor, or Barcelona, Luxor, or even Cairo. I know that there is a regular flight from Cairo to Barcelona and Madrid, but we want to increase, because if Egypt Air could come and replace a little bit the charter flights, then we can make it easier for the people. The people wants to come to Egypt. Let's put it this way. The people wants to come to Egypt. The ones that owns the planes, and that's why I do not speak about anybody who's saying, we will be coming to Egypt. When I see you in Egypt, I'll talk about you. The British market, I did not mention anything about the British market, neither on the social media or in television or anything like this, till I see them in Egypt. But they keep talking, and they want to negotiate in the price. Egypt is not safe for 10 English pounds less.
Yes.
Okay? So some people are trying to take advantage of the situation now. The situation It's pure political, it's pure economical, and as people, they see Egypt is coming out of the bottle, like of the neck of the bottle, and economically we're doing good, and you know, we're getting there. Hopefully, we're depending on our friends, we're depending on the very reliable sources as the clientele who comes to Egypt and have fun. And this is the mission of everybody in Egypt. Now we have to take it as a national mission. It is not, when I was working yesterday, I was serving my country. I was not acting as a tour guide who's going out doing my job. No, I was a soldier. I was working with the Egyptian government, is trying to please the people as much as possible. So if they have a great experience, you've got 68 Egyptian ambassadors, African-American ambassadors, going back home, telling everybody they should go to Egypt. You, as Nile TV International, I believe that you have to have 10,000 times support than what you have today. You need to have a longer arm. You need to have facilities. And I urge whoever is hearing this episode now is that they do have to put an effort with you, because with Nile TV International, which it could be seen abroad, you also could help with us.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, we're trying. We're truly trying. If I just may ask you about two important things, and briefly, this Vintage airplane rally, because we really want to know more about it. And as we are preparing for a high season, you know, the Christmas and the New Year are coming, and this would be a high season for tourists to come to Egypt. And how do you think we should prepare for that?
No, when we say we cannot prepare now, the preparation has already been done. Let me assure you one thing.
Yes, but last-minute preparations?
Last-minute preparation, thank you. We need to pay attention to public service. We need to pay attention to cleanliness. Excuses are not acceptable. We need to, you know, the number one enemy of tourism is traffic. Number one tourism enemy is traffic. Very shortly, by the way, on Thursday, the Minister of Antiquity of Egypt, Dr. Khalid Al-Anani, has a great announcement to make. And to be honest with you, this shows that the government are truly thinking, technically, how can we help tourism? When they extend the opening hours of the Egyptian Museum to work at night, this gives me the space when I work during the day at the pyramid area, and then the tourists have lunch, and then the tourists go shopping. And sometimes people, they say, oh, but the tourists, when they go shopping, this delays the site. Hello, excuse me. When the tourists go shopping, they spend dollars, they spend English pound, they spend euro, they spend Japanese yen in Egypt. And this is fed directly into the economy of Egypt. And then they don't have to be rushed, and they can go to the Egyptian Museum and enjoy themselves over there, especially at night. The weather is a little bit cool as well. Why not to open a couple of restaurants inside the Egyptian Museum where the people could have dinner? And so why I'm very optimistic, because I can see that the Minister of Antiquity, with the Minister of Tourism, with the Minister of Aviation, with the Minister of Interior, with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, with the Minister of Defense, when all of these people sit together and you put all their thoughts with the experts, it's very important to use the experts. With the experts, you will come up with good result.
Yes.
I'm very happy that they are thinking in this direction. Yes, sometimes things are a bit slow, but I want to tell you also very good thing. This Christmas and New Year, a big portion of the tourism going to Upper Egypt, especially to Aswan, to a special hotel over there. I don't know if I can mention the name or not, even though it's a government hotel. But anyway, because of a TV show, a TV series that went in Ramadan, the upscale Egyptian market are going there. Okay? So this would tell you that if you make good TV series on the sites of Egypt, that encourage people. That's why I'm asking the TV people, the cinema people, is to go out and do movie in Sewa, and to do in Sharm el-Sheikh, and to do good story. Because see, that series, that you know what I'm talking about. that series that went in Ramadan about this hotel in Aswan. It drove every Egyptian want to go and see it. Every Egyptian, no matter how much is the price of the hotel. So the hotel, thank God, is 100% occupied, as well as others. This helps people in Aswan. They go out, they buy peanuts, they buy the karkadeh, they go out, they dine in a restaurant, they ride the kalash, they go on the feluka, and the circle is going. Yes, yet we want more of the foreigners. We are relying very much on our friends. Can I just, if you allow me...
You can do whatever you wish, Mr. Battuti.
Yeah,
please go ahead.
I want to tell you an interesting story, and I want you to see it. When we were at the pyramids, me and my colleague Akram Allam, a couple of days ago, two Colombian, or two American with a Colombian origin, came up to my colleague and they said, oh, we enjoyed very much what you're saying, and can we listen to you? Can we tag with you? He says, I'm doing a private group, but it's okay, you can tag. They said, you know, we've really went through a lot of trouble to come into Egypt. So my colleague says, wait a minute, I'll finish, and then I want to know why you went through a lot of trouble. They were on a cruise ship in the Mediterranean, and I'm urging anybody from the Egyptian government who's listening to this is to pay attention to this very much. They were on a cruise ship in the Mediterranean, and they bought the trip because part of the itinerary is stopping in Alexandria and stopping in Port Said, two ports. As they got off on the ship, see, they do market, they sell Egypt, and then when you are out in the Mediterranean, they told them, oh, sorry, Egypt Port, Alexandria, and Port Said are canceled for security reasons. So those two clients, they went to the management of the boat, and they said, no, we want to get off. They said, sorry, if you get off, we're not going to give you your passport. And the young guy said, listen, I have a Colombian passport with me, but bear in mind, you get me off the ship, and you hold my passport. And I have social media. You know what? They gave them their passport. Those two passengers, they came from Port Said all the way to Cairo, and they visited the pyramids, and they found a way of flying from Luxor back to Qatar, back to Salalah, trying to catch up with the boat. And the boat told them, as they left the boat, if you get off the ship, we will not allow you to come back again. And the guy, he told us, I will go, and I couldn't miss not coming to see the pyramids and the Egyptian museum. And by the way, we tagged them along on the trip, and we treated them, me and my colleague Akram, for the Egyptian museum, for the tickets and everything, and we gave them a free tour as a duty to our country. But somebody in our country has to pick up the story,
yes,
and have to connect with those two clients.
Definitely, you know? We are reporting this story of yours to who it might concern, really, to the Egyptian authority to really to be notified. I guess, yes, that's very strong, and we hope that the tourism return to Egypt as soon as possible, and it's in its full capacity, because it's really important. It's timing, it's really important, and it's really great chance for the economy, or to a real boost to the economy at this particular stage. Mr. Walid Battuti, member of the International Federation for Tour Guides, we thank you very much for being with us over the phone. And returning to our discussion of the day and the three-day economic conference that was organized by Akhbar al-Yom. Addressing Akhbar al-Yom economic conference, Prime Minister Sharif Ismail said that the government has provided a social security network to support the poor to endure the economic reform, and it seeks to gradually deliver the subsidies to citizens to make sure they go to the rightful beneficiaries. Let's watch the speech the Prime Minister made before the conference, and we'll come back for discussion.
Prime Minister Sharif Ismail said Egypt's economic reform program is not merely aimed at propping up the state's budget, but it's meant to improve the people's living standards, but make the Egyptian economy stronger. Addressing the third Akhbar al-Yom economic conference, Ismail added that the country's three-year economic reform program is based on the four main facets of improving the country's monetary policies by trimming budget and diminishing public debt, boosting investment and growth rates, introducing social solidarity measures as well as carrying out joint national projects, including in housing, electricity and infrastructure. During his speech, the Prime Minister reiterated that the government's economic reform program should not be reduced to a mere series of decisions or actions to resolve problems dug in the state budget. He emphasized that the reform measures are rather aimed at raising citizens' living standards, improving public services, developing a more effective subsidy system, curbing population growth, and boosting investment rates. Egypt's shortage in foreign reserves and its budget deficit have pushed the country to launch a reform program to stabilize the economy. Last week, the government has decided to reduce the fuel subsidies and the central bank liberalized the pound. The government has earlier cut electricity subsidies and introduced a new value-add tax. On Friday, the International Monetary Fund said its executive board has approved a 3-year bailout program totaling $12 billion to support Egypt's economy. Also on Friday, global rating agency Standard & Poor's (S&P) revised Egypt's sovereign credit outlook from negative to stable due to the projected support by the International Monetary Fund (IMF).